What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly Tokyo Ghoul Manga chapter review on chapter 104, titled Sudden Death. Now, with that title, that scares me, because when you really take a moment to think about this chapter, it is a comedy chapter. It's if Ishida decided to make an entire chapter based on comedy. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of serious moments throughout this chapter with a lot of setup, but a lot of the chapter, at least every single page, there's probably at least one moment you can laugh at. I'm not saying all the pages, but majority of the pages, there's probably one moment in each page you can laugh at, which, that is what scares me the most, because when you think about Ishida, and you think about this title called Sudden Death, but then on top of that, how Ishida loves to have happy moments, and then he turns these happy moments into some very sad moments, something bad is going to happen. Something really bad is going to happen, because amongst all the comedy in this chapter, there was some death flags. Quite a bit of death flags, and I'm scared for certain characters I'll mention very soon. So yeah, chapter title, Sudden Death. If I know what sudden death means, I mean, if you played, fighting games and things like that, thinking about sudden death and all that, that's not a good, that's not a good title, especially if it's orientated around comedy, because something bad's probably gonna happen, because you know how Ishida is with his titles. So, before I begin, I just gotta ask, is anyone else, like, if you live in the United States, most likely other parts of the world, you're probably already cold or hot or whatever, but I mean, anyone else, like, realize today it has been very cold? Like, I'm gonna have to pull out my freaking, like, mittens and stuff, like, just my hat, like, my little cap and all that, because it is so freaking cold. And I mean, it's been a very, very hot, very hot winter so far, but I mean, it's gotten cold today. Like, my fingers are really cold right now, so I mean, if you hear anything in the background, it's my heater, so I just want to do an FYI right now. If you hear any sound in the background, it's my wall heater, so I just wanted to pre-warn all of you, so if you hear any noise, please forgive me. So anyways, this chapter is comedy orientated, okay? And I don't really leave, now, I know I say this all the time, okay? I know I say it often, and I know, okay? It's kind of turned into more of a meme on this channel now, but anyways, I don't believe this video is going to be that long. I feel like this video is going to be about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, because of just what it's about. The chapter is very simple, and to be honest, I feel like this would have been a better live reaction than an actual review, but there is some things I need to discuss and get my thoughts out of the way for, so yeah, I'm doing a review, and also many of you prefer the reviews over the live reactions. I mean, a lot of you say I should do live reactions and reviews, but I mean, after I already read the chapter, I can't do a live reaction, so yeah, I'm not gonna fucking fake a live reaction, because that's just bullshit. That kind of ruins the entire point of a live reaction, so yeah, you got a review just only this week. Anyways, let's begin. So, the chapter, it starts off with a detailed explanation of what Psycho was thinking that entire day, and leading up to the moments to when she found out about Takomi's marriage proposal. And it's so funny just seeing the inner mind of Psycho. Like, let me just read this, okay? Yo, Psycho here. Psycho was working from home just like always when she suddenly received a text from Kuroiwa Bujin inviting her to go out and eat. So she headed there gleefully, but as she arrived, she found out the special class bulk had been invited as well. Although her excitement was slightly dampened by this, as soon as she entered her favorite bakery, her cute little nose, cute little nose was filled with the fragrance of bread and other baked goods, causing her appetite to burst forth once again. As we know, Psycho's a little bit of a glutton. This is a little trait of her, personality. We know about this. After exchanging pleasantries with a bakery employee, Yoriko, Psycho took her seat. Just as she was about to swallow her first sip of glass of water, Takomi suddenly blurted out a marriage proposal. This development was so shocking that Psycho accidentally overreacted and spat out all of her water on special class bulk. Summary? What will happen to Takomi and what will happen to Psycho after all this? Fired? Oh my god. This is like, okay, let's just like, Ishida. Like, I've already read this and it's still fucking funny. Like, Ishida, my boy, like, what you did with Psycho was just so good, because she's one of my favorite QS. She's one of my favorite QS members. I've always pegged her as, like, best girl. Besides Eto, obviously. She's always been, like, my best girl. But, damn, just seeing this, just seeing Psycho having her little moment, just like her day-to-day life. She's laying in bed. Like, you just see Ashita start off the freaking chapter. She's laying sideways in her bed, just taking a nap. She gets up, she's all groggy. She's like, bread, 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 bread. It's so good when she spits all over me. It's just, oh. That's some good comedy. I mean, for Tokyo Ghoul, I did not expect to walk into a chapter quite like that, honestly. I didn't expect to just start a chapter and have some comedy that just made me laugh. Genuinely laugh. There's some good moments in this chapter. Just that alone is a perfect summary of what this kind of chapter is about. It's comedy. So, going down, we go back to the marriage proposal. We get to see the answer from Yoriko and what she thinks after, Takomi decided to say, will you marry me? And eventually it comes down to saying, yes. Yoriko actually accepts the marriage proposal. And this is something that was even more shocking. She spits. Okay, wait, before I talk about it. Psycho spits again. She spits straight back on Urie. And look at this man's face. Like, yo, go to page 2, I guess, if you're not counting that cover page and all that. Just look at Urie's face, dude. That man's eyes look like he is about to fucking break Psycho's neck. It's like he's gonna grab her, like, snap her fucking neck. Like, this man, he looks so triggered right now in that one panel. Like, Jesus. Yo, that boy, that man is so mad. Like, you could just see the rage in his face. Like, you see the anger on his forehead. You see, like, the angry, like, knot on his forehead. And you just see how the veins popping out, his, like, expression of his mouth. He's like, you do that one fucking more time, I wanna fucking kill you. That's how he's looking. He's like, you stop spitting on my face. Just, so good. So good. Okay, anyways. Yoriko accepts the marriage proposal. And this is a very, very good thing. And a bad thing, too. It's a bad thing and a good thing. For 2 reasons. Number 1, which it pops up later on this chapter, but I'm just going to cover it here, because once again, as I said, it's a very simple chapter. Yoriko and Takomi, bonding together, and, her accepting his marriage proposal is a good thing, because it's a marriage proposal. They're being able to form a couple, a relationship, and they're going to be able to be happy. For the time being, obviously, because as I've already stated in my last chapter review of Tokyo Ghoul, relationships in Tokyo Ghoul tend to end in tragedy. I mean, that's usually the general outcome. I mean, any form of relationship, a romantic relationship we see in Tokyo Ghoul usually turns out to be rather tragic. I mean, one of the biggest ones, Eto's parents. There you go. Perfect example right there. Look at, Toko's parents. Perfect example right then and there. So, I mean, just, usually relationships tend to go south in the Tokyo Ghoul universe. And with Takomi and Yoriko getting together, I fear, since this is Ashita, and this is, a happy chapter, and you know how Ashita loves having that tragedy right around the corner, they'll probably die. Or one of them is gonna die. Or they'll both die. Whoever will die. Or something very bad's gonna happen. Now, I'm not gonna assume it might be their deaths. It could be something else entirely. Maybe something to do with Toko. Now, let's think about this, okay? What this chapter mentions. Toka, she's brought up, and Yoriko says, like, I haven't seen my friend in a very long time, since that one time in the 20th Ward, and I was wondering if you could find her. And so, Yoriko gives Takomi her name. And instantly, if you know how bad this is. For one, Toka's family is wanted. Okay, she's been seen on cameras, obviously. She's had to be seen on cameras, in the prison and all that, so they got her face. And so, if they really want to and they start diving in deep, Takomi's gonna realize. He's gonna realize, who Toka is. He is an investigator, so he'll key in on that. And also seeing, like, Kaneki and other people probably hanging around Toka, he's gonna realize if he starts to track her down, he's eventually gonna probably catch Kaneki and, the GOAT organization. So, there's 2 possibilities here. Number 1, Takomi, he's gonna find out about Toka. He's gonna probably find out the identity of the GOAT organization, where it's at, for instance, where, Kaneki is. He's gonna find out who Toka really is, for instance, a ghoul, and also how she's connected to other ghouls, or ghouls in the past that were killed. And so, Takiyomi's gonna realize this, and he has two options. Being a CCG investigator, his duty is to kill ghouls and bring them in. The second option is, however, he's going to keep it a secret. He's gonna find out, and because he recently married Yoriko, and, you know, she's his wife, he probably doesn't want to hurt her heart. So, he has two more options to choose from. Number one, he keeps it a secret, and he doesn't say anything. Or he says it to Yoriko. He keeps the secret. He's like, Yoriko, I found your friend, but she's a ghoul. And so he joins Goat. The second option is that he carries out the plan. He finds out. He decides to go after them. And the outcome of this, he gets into some deep shit. He gets killed somehow. Maybe a ghoul in the Goat organization kills him, or something happens to where he dies. A fatality happens. Or, you know, he tries to do something and he manages to kill Toko, which in turn Yoriko finds out, which then would probably end the relationship. Regardless if Toko was a ghoul, like if Yoriko found out, I don't think she would probably end the relationship with Toko. I don't think she would. I don't think she's that type of friend. So, when you think about it like this, depending on what Takiyomi does, when he finds out about Toko and her identity as a ghoul, will determine how the relationship goes. This will be their main issue. If, you know, Takiyomi does the right thing, the relationship could be concreted to be permanent, or it could end in tragedy, depending on what he does when he finds out about Toko. So that's my worries right now. That is honestly my worries about these two's relationship. And I mean, if Yoriko, let's say, dies, you can imagine how Toko's gonna feel. If Yoriko dies, she's gonna take out her rage and aggression on Takiyomi. And she finds out. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see where that goes, but overall it's happy. I mean, it's a very happy time. I mean, two characters, you know, getting married. But I mean, knowing Ishida, I can't help but look at, you know, the tragedy behind the scenes besides all the happy moments. So anyways, after all this explanation, we move on to just getting to see the QS and Psycho talking about the marriage stuff. And eventually everybody kind of gives their opinions. You have it to where, like, some are like, oh, you're only 22, you should be starting to think about marriage, shouldn't you, Psycho? And then one other, you have it to where, like, oh, you know, that's pretty scary if you ask me, already having all this planned out. And then Psycho's like, oh, don't worry about it, like, I'm always for you guys, right? Hee hee, like, I'm your bride, everybody's bride. Just, it's so cute. Little Psycho is just so cute in this chapter. I mean, just a little face, it's so adorable. It's so fucking adorable. So just like, there's some cute moments in this, just talking about the marriage proposal and just seeing little Psycho just explaining everything and all that. And eventually the conversation carries over to Urie, and Urie is like, Kuro Iwa's getting married? Like, Kuro Iwa's getting married. Like, what the fuck? Like, he's like, Takiyomi, this man is getting married. How the fuck is this possible? And as he's getting asked, he's like, not really. Like, he says it out in the open like he's not interested, but in his mind, he's just like having this mental breakdown. He's like, this man what's all, like, what the fuck? Like, this man that has this face all, like, this serious expression, Takiyomi, he's getting married before me? Like, what the hell? So just seeing Urie just, like, getting, you know, kind of nervous or upset and flustered, it's really funny. Just seeing this man grabbing his newspaper, kind of crunching it up and all that. You can just see how he's a little bit irritated, just doesn't know what to think at all. So once again, Urie's, you know, inner mind is, you know, kind of one of the highlights of this chapter, just seeing what he thinks. So carrying on, we move into the next segment of the video, which wraps around Aura, and also Takiyomi's father. So, Aura, we get to see her status, an update on her. We know she was in the hospital because it was already revealed when, you know, Furta had his meeting and stuff, but now we get to see her condition. She seems to be overall fine, judging by the way she carries herself in this chapter. I mean, well, she doesn't get up out of bed, but she still, the way she's moving around and stuff, it doesn't seem like she's injured to the point to where it's life-threatening, or she'll never be able to get up again, but she's out of combat for now. We don't know completely what's completely wrong with her yet, but we do know, however, she's out of combat and can't really assist. And there's not really much that's really discussed about the One-Eyed King throughout the dialogue between Kuroiwa and her. It's not really discussed at all, which that's the actual strange part about this, because throughout this convo, they mainly just talk about the marriage proposal and how this is very good news for the father. You're like, hey, you might get, a grandson or a granddaughter very soon. I mean, this is good news for you. Just, it makes the man happy. It's like he's seeing his son grow up. And Ora's just talking about, like, happy news and all that, and then eventually it turns over into Akira, which, as we know, Akira is a very, very important piece as a character right now in the current arc and what's going to be happening. Because, I mean, right now, Kaneki and his group is raiding a lab to try to get a drug, a suppressant drug, for her, before she can be operated on. And when they're raiding the lab, this is going to be all for her. And if, they find out, CCG finds out while they're doing something like this, they might realize Akira's probably helping them or something. And then, Akira will be under more suspicion. And right now, they do know that Mutsuki has already stated that Akira was trying to help out ghouls. It's even stated in this chapter, Mutsuki decided to say something about it, and which causes Akira to be in a very, very bad position. Because, at this time, if anyone, helps out a ghoul, you know what happens. For instance, they'll die. They have just the right reason to die as well. They'll be sentenced to death. And Akira being someone that has actually helped the ghoul, Mutsuki said something and all that, and if it is confirmed, well, Akira will be killed. And when you see Ora talking about this, like how, Akira's parents would be very upset, they wouldn't be too pleased, it's because, as you know, these two parents have a very deep connection with ghouls. We know how Mato was, and how he had this fixation on ghouls, how he wanted to kill ghouls, he hunted them down, he loved, getting Quinke and all that. And when you think about it like this, Akira doing what she's doing now goes against what her parents wanted in the first place. But you gotta also realize that ghouls have been messed with and altered in a way to where, like, the entire viewpoint of ghouls are destroyed thanks to what CCG and Washus have done. And so, Mono never really got the true story of what really happened. And if he would have known what CCG was really like, I don't feel like he would actually be really upset with Akira. He might actually understand. I don't feel like Mato is that type of character. I mean, he seemed kind of crazy, but I feel like he would understand why his daughter is doing what she's doing now because of how the world really is, because he didn't really understand at the time. So, you have it to where just Akira is getting discussed, and if she does turn out to be helping ghouls, she will be put on the chopping block. Now, after all of that, we move into the next part. We move into how Itsuki, which is Marude, isn't with them anymore, and also Yukinori, which is Shinohara, is no longer with them too. As we know, Shinohara, he's in a coma, he can't really help out because he's pretty much a vegetable at this time, and then Itsuki, which is Marude, he's up on the run right now because if Matsuri finds him, he's gonna kill his ass. So, Marude, he's a very critical wild card right now in the arc, which I discussed about him in the last review I did. And so Marude, he can do anything right now. We don't really know his whereabouts, we don't know what he's doing at this time, but we do know, however, he's very important. He might appear in this upcoming arc for Kaneki's side. Now, Shinohara, with him being mentioned, I have a feeling for Ishida to mention someone like this, like to mention Shinohara, he might eventually wake up very soon. I could see maybe something lucky, a miracle happening to where he might wake up or something, maybe in this arc or an arc down the road because of him to be mentioned like this, especially with Marude. It shows that his character probably does have some importance. I mean, think about this, okay? There's two things I can feel about, Itsuki and Shinohara being mentioned in the exact same sentence. Number one, I'm assuming since Marude is such a huge person in play right now, like he's like a big chess piece that can do anything right now, he can really just put a big, big hole in what Furuto wants to do and what the Washis want to accomplish, then Marude, he can join Kaneki's side. Or he can just become a third party and be on his entire own and form his own organization. Or he might die. Or he might go into a vegetable-like state like Shinohara. For instance, he might go in a coma or something because of whatever might happen in the future. Maybe this is some subtle foreshadowing from Ishida to what might happen to Marude if he continues down this path. Now, moving into the next segment, we move into with Suzuya Squad, Keijin, talking with Ora about the rundown of what's going to be happening in the upcoming operation, and for instance, how they're going to be defending against the clowns. Now, once again, I want to discuss and pretty much lay out there that, as we know, the clowns are being blamed on Kaneki. Everybody believes, the CCG agents believe, that the reason why the clowns are attacking is somehow they're connected to Kaneki, the GOAT organization, the reason why they're organizing right now, and so all the blame is being placed on him. So if any of them show that, like, they dislike the One-Eyed King, it's thanks to what is doing behind the scenes. He's setting everything up to make Kaneki look bad. So, with this being said, Keijin, he discusses the entire plan to Aura, like, what's going to be happening, how, like, the defenses are going to be handled. For instance, all the agents are to remain in their different wards, but Suzuya Squad is going to be going to the main headquarters to defend, and Suzuya will be becoming the next Arima. And so Keijin just pretty much tells Aura what's going on, and Aura's like, how very Yoshitoki-like. It's very, very much like Yoshitoki and all that. And Aura goes along to compliment Matsuri, because she assumes that it's Matsuri who is the one that came up with the plan. Because as you know, nobody really believed Furuta would be the next in line. You know, the one to actually lead CCG and be the next person for Washi Clan. Because, I mean, it always seemed like Matsuri would be that strong-willed commander. I mean, judging by how his personality was throughout the entirety of, you know, Tokyo Ghoul Urie, everybody assumed Matsuri would be the one to do something like this. And so when she mentions, you know, Germany, she's assuming it's Matsuri. But in reality, it was not. It's actually Furuta. And also, we know it's Urie that's kind of taking the main, I guess, image of who's leading this operation. Even though Furuta is giving out the plans and he came up with the operation, it's Urie that's going to be placed with all the blame. If he fails, Furuta won't get blamed at all. I mean, the people in the room might know who Furuta really is now and how he fucked up, but Urie will be the one to take the blame and fall and break. So it won't be Furuta at all that will take any of the blame if the plan goes south. So Urie right now seems to be the one leading the charge, but in reality, it is Furuta. Now, the thing is that after what happened in the prison and all that, and what happened on Rue Island, and all the deserters that left, it's put a very huge strain on CCG. And there's a lot of strain on Urie as well, because of the people that have deserted them, and also the prison, the escapees, and all that, the One-Eye King, Heisei Sasuke. There's just so much that's happened that it's a big strain. And so with this, you can see that Urie has matured. He's matured to the point where he's able to accept all this responsibility on his shoulders and take initiative to do what needs to be done. Now, after the conversation, Aura's like, could you please protect my son? Please protect Shin. I need you to protect him and all that. I need you to protect him. He's a part of the QS squad. Please protect him. Keijin's like, I understand. I will station him on my squad and all that, because most likely Suzuya will ask the QS to be with us. I'll make sure to station, you know, Shin in my squad to make sure he's protected. And so it's like he's taking steps to say, yes, I will keep him safe. And then this leads into something very interesting. Aura says, make sure you tell him this. Do not become so absorbed in your enemy that you lose sight of his true nature. Do not allow your hatred of the One-Eyed King to cage your mind. Please tell him that. So, what does that mean? Well, after all that happened, after Heisei Sasuke left the CCG, you gotta realize everyone that was his friends, everyone that looked up to him or whatever, they probably realized, like, this man just betrayed us all. He just left us and betrayed us all for the ghouls. The very things he was hunting down. Why the fuck would he do that? And so everybody got upset with him. Some people that really cared for him got really upset, and Shin is one of them. He is someone that has been absorbed in his hatred for the One-Eye King. He hates Kaneki because of how he just left like that, and how many people got injured, and how Aura got injured too, thanks to what Kaneki did. And so when Aura's like, do not let your hatred cloud your mind or cage your mind completely, don't let that happen. And so this adds a very interesting point to Aura's character. Aura has shown that she doesn't really mention much about what happened. She doesn't talk about how Kaneki and her had that little exchange. We do know Kaneki came in contact with Aura at the end of the prison arc. We know for a fact. But we don't know what really happened. We don't know what dialogue was exchanged. And for her to say something like this, don't let your hatred for the One-Eye King cage your mind, maybe Aura has something else that was said to her. Maybe she understands what's really going on. Maybe she sees the bigger picture, or she's starting to see the bigger picture, and she doesn't think what Kaneki's probably doing is entirely evil. And that's probably why she's telling Shin, don't allow that hatred to cage your mind, or it drives you to take down someone that very well may be our blessing. So I feel like Aura might play into someone that might eventually become a turncoat, someone that might join Kaneki's side because of this one panel alone. We'll see where it goes, but Ishida is definitely setting up something with her character. Now, next segment we move into, we get to see where Aura starts talking about Urie and how this man Like, it's just crazy. I mean, he has moved up into this position. He was someone that was a pampered child. Now look at him. I mean, the suit, you know, he wears now suits him well, but he just wishes he had more people to, like, drive him. For instance, he wishes it was, like, he was someone like Takomi, that he had someone that he really cared about, someone he loved, someone he had to protect. And so when Urie says, people without things to protect never fight to their last, that is a message for, I feel like, everyone in this page. For instance, Matsuri, to Furuta, and also to Urie. Because you gotta realize this, okay? Furuta, he has no one to protect. He doesn't give a fucking shit about probably anyone in CCG at all. He can let them all die, and he doesn't give a shit. I'm willing to bet you right now. That's just Furuta. From what he's shown, he doesn't really care. I mean, he might care about Rize, but I don't think he cares about anyone at all. Other people. I just don't think he does at all until we see more of his character. And so when this page pops up and you see it to where Urie's like, people without things to protect never fight to their last, it's like saying these three people right here on this page are people that will just get up and just back off when the going gets tough. They have nothing to protect. So obviously they'll focus on their own self before anything else. They have nothing to care about. And so people like Matsuri that's lost everything already, the only thing that really drives him at this time is probably hunting down Marade. And so he doesn't have really anything to really protect at this time. Urie, he's lost everything, which it's been very clear that he's lost all of his friends, people that he was close to, his teachers. He's just lost everyone, so he no longer has anyone to protect. And then you have someone like Furuta, which is just a big mystery. We know for a fact he probably doesn't give a shit about anyone in CCG. So when this is said, this is very serious, because these three people to be leading CCG, and they don't really care about anyone, there's going to be a lot of life that's probably going to be lost in this upcoming arc for CCG's side. Okay, so this next part is something we kind of expected to happen. I mean, Matsuri confronting Urie and Furuta about the plan, the operation that is about to happen, with the clowns to, you know, Suzuya Squad watching over the headquarters and all that. This is something that was bound to happen. Matsuri finding out and eventually getting rather fucking pissed off and like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, I should have been informed. I should have been the one to initiate any type of plans. Who approved of this plan? Like, why? And this turns into a downright dispute between these two. And Urie's like, I'm the one that approved of this plan. Furuta is the one that came up with the plan. It's a very good plan, and he's also a part of the Washu clan, and he can definitely lead. And also, nobody really respects the, you know, the borough chief to actually be the one to do this at the time. And so, it's kind of like Urie is initiating that, yes, right now, I am the one that's leading the charge. And you know Matsuri, he doesn't like Urie at all. He doesn't like this man. He does not like this man. And Furuta now taking the reins from him, this puts Matsuri in a very bad spot. Because he now realizes, like, Furuta being like this, being able to initiate this plan, and if this plan goes completely correct, this is going to make me look bad, and I'm never going to be able to be the next leader. Furuta will go one step ahead of me. So Matsuri might try something. I can see with the way Matsuri has kind of been changing, how he's kind of in a state to where he's stressed out and even stripping for Urie. This man might try some crusty shit that might fuck up this entire plan, which maybe Furuta wants in the first place, and that's why Urie's going to be taking the entirety of the blunt if the plan fails. For instance, if the plan fails, it's going to be Urie that's going to fall. It's not going to be Furuta, it's going to be Urie. And so, Matsuri probably realizes this, but I can definitely see him trying to start some shit because of how he dislikes Urie, but also, if this plan goes correct, it makes Furuta look good as well. So, that's kind of what this dialogue is. It's like saying, right now, Matsuri, you're not needed. You're a weakened leader, you're not needed, we don't need your opinion right now, you're not important, and this is something that's probably going to piss this man off to no end. And he's just probably really mad. He doesn't know how to express his anger because he doesn't really show his face, but I'm willing to bet you if we saw his face, he probably has just... oh, he probably has this big, big frown on his face to where he just wants to gut Urie right then and there. So we'll see where it goes on that. We'll see where it goes on that with Matsuri, but he's probably going to play a role in this upcoming arc, maybe destroying the plans of what Furuta set up because of how he doesn't want Furuta to become the next in line to lead CCG, Washu, and V. Now, Urie actually praises Furuta. He praises him and says, your data was good. You should be proud of it. And Furuta smiles. Now, we do know Furuta's smile is probably just, you know, it's a fake smile. We know for a fact this man, yeah, well, we know he's an actor. But I wonder how Furuta feels about people praising him, because there's still a lot of things about his character we don't truly understand. We don't know how he is when people truly praise him for doing a good job. There's little traits about his character that I feel like Ishida will hint at and all that. And I mean, I wonder if Urie saying your data was good, be proud of it, is in a way reassuring Furuta that, hey, he's a pretty good guy. Maybe I might keep him around. I might kill him last or so. So, we'll see. We'll see on that end, too, as well. Because, I mean, maybe Furuta might like people that decide to respect him and all that, think, you know, his data was good and praise him for if he did a good job. Maybe he might like that. Who knows? So, with that being said, we move over into the next segment. We move into the next operation. We move in to the Ghoul side of the story. And it's pretty much all the characters just getting their outfits suited for them, the white suits and all that. And overall, just a very good scene. I mean, all the characters are getting their organization attire, which is kind of to be expected if you think about it. Like, all the suits, white suits now, that's going to be the main GOAT organization's entire theme. And it's kind of cool when you think about how everything like this has been set up for a very long time. We've heard about the white suits for many, many chapters now. We know about them since the beginning of Part 1 of Tokyo Ghoul. We saw, you know, Jason, and now seeing how Kaneki's going to be wearing the white suits and all that in operations and stuff. It's pretty damn fucking badass, because that's his group now. His group is going to be wearing white suits, and they're all getting fitted and all that to make sure they fit everybody so that, you know, they each have an individual suit. So obviously Naki comes in. He's a little bit pissed off, because you gotta remember, this is a man that's been in the white suits for a long time, and people start tampering with his suits. He's probably gonna get kind of pissed off. It's gonna trigger the poor man. And as he goes in, he's like, what the fuck is this? What is this little fucking hole right here? Like, what the hell is this, Tsukiyama? And Tsukiyama's like, hey, hold it, my dear. That hole right there is for accessories, like a flower. And he puts the flower in Naki's shirt. And Naki's like, fuck you, stick this fucking flower in your skull for all I care. And just stabbed him straight in the head. And this one battle... this one battle is so good. This one battle is so good. Because when Tsukiyama just... He puts it in his shirt. He's like, here you go. Here's a flower. Flower in. And then he just grabs out, just stabs Tsukiyama straight in the head. You know that went in his freaking head because it just stays there. His face. Tsukiyama's face. Tsukiyama's face just shows like, you best be happy I'm not my Part 1, Tsukiyama. He's like, you best be happy. Like, that's exactly what his face is showing right now. He's like, this is fine. This is fine. I would have killed a bitch, and this would have been Part 1. And just in Tsukiyama just having this face on him, it's just like a straight, just lips. Like, he's like, he doesn't even know what to do. I'm like, oh my god. And what's even better is after this gets stabbed into his head, he goes along and starts saying something. He starts talking. Like, this is what he says. To be honest, I wanted to confirm the design with you before moving to the manufacturing, but... by the way, I wonder how long it's going to take you to remember my name. So, Tsukiyama, he doesn't even give a shit that he just got a freaking rose stabbed into his head. He doesn't even give a shit. He's like, fuck this shit. He's just like, let me carry on. And he starts talking to Naki. So, oh, Tsukiyama and Naki, definitely friends I want to see. Or two characters I want to see together more. Just the way they interact with each other is just too good. I mean, just that alone. Just that's so good. Okay, so we discussed the teams. We have it to where there's a lab team and we have, you know, the white suit team. The white suit team is probably going to be like the distraction while the lab team infiltrates and all that. And with the two teams, you have it to where someone that actually would know the lab is not going to be coming with them. Hideko is actually going to be staying with the suit team. Even though Hideko knows how the lab is, Kaneki's like, no, I need you to be with the suit team. You're an investigator, and you have a lot of good experience and stuff as an investigator to be able to deal with problems, so I want you to go with the suit team. The main army, pretty much. The big head honcho army. Like, the army that's going to be going in. While us, we're going to have, like, 4 people coming with us that are heavy hitters, people that can take a lot of hits, that can be able to go in. And this is what Kaneki says. Like, I want to read what Kaneki says. We'll infiltrate the lab with only a select few. People that can take a hit. And right after he says that, he's like, Ayato! Fucking savage! I straight up fucking savage! Oh! Like, okay, so, what's so good about this? Like, let me read this again. We'll infiltrate the lab with only a select few people that can take a hit. And he's like, Ayato, like, do you realize how fucking savage that is? Like, how savage Kaneki, he just fucking destroyed this man. And the way Ayato says, Why am I the first person of that sort that comes to mind? Jeez. Like, as we know, Kaneki beat the fucking shit out of this man. And Ayato, he was still alive. And so Kaneki said, I need someone that can take a hit. He's talking about when he beat the fuck out of Ayato. And that's why Ayato's like, why am I the first person that comes to mind? That's fucked up. That is legit fucked up. Like, Kaneki savage as hell. And then Nishiki, he's like, Jimmy, fine, sign me up for the shittier job. So, what's even better is we know Nishiki can take a hit too. This man also got wrecked by Kaneki. He got stabbed, impaled constantly. And so, once again, Kaneki being savage towards Nishiki. He's like, Nishiki, come with me too. And then he's like, Kuro, you coming too? Because I know how you're pretty psycho. I mean, you've been through a lot of damage. I mean, you're another one-eyed ghoul, so, well, we'll definitely get along. You'll definitely kick some ass. So, I mean, we already have a very good party. Ayato, Nishiki, and Kuro. And after all that's said and done, this is what Kaneki says. These four, we don't need anyone else. Considering the personnel they'll have guarding the lab, we also want to avoid conflict whenever possible. Tsukiyama will take over the leadership of the suit group. Oi, my king. Zero Squad in white suits are a part of Tsukiyama's group, who he's going to be leading. Irumi, Misa, and Hinami, you'll support them. So, Irumi, Misa, and Hinami are going to be a part of the support team. And then, after all that, a new challenger pops up. I'm coming to the lab. You probably want at least one more guy that knows what the RC suppressor drug smells like, right? And then Kaneki sees this. He's like, I'll switch up the members then. Nishio, you'll stick with the suits. What should I call you, Kaneki says. Sato, Takisawa, Al, whatever, don't care. I'll see, well then we'll be accompanying, you'll be accompanying us to the lab, Takisawa. So, let's look at this real quick, okay? What this means. Sato, he's joining Kaneki's squad. He's joining Kaneki into going into the lab. Now, as Kaneki said, he wants people that could take a hit. We know Sato, out of everyone that probably in this entirety of this group, probably Sato is the one that could probably take the most damage, besides Kaneki. Easily. Because, I mean, this man, he's been through a hell of a lot. We know for a fact he has. What Kano did to him, we know. And also what Kaneki did to him, this man could definitely take a hit. So, with this man joining in, he's definitely very, very helpful. And we know Sato's very powerful. You can see whatever you want. Yes, he may have been defeated by Kaneki, but you gotta remember, Kaneki, he was trained by Arima. He was trained by the freaking Death God, okay? So, obviously, Kaneki would be a little bit strong. But even then, Sato was able to do that much to Kaneki or Heise and still fight, and also did all that later on, you know, what happened in last arc. So Sato is no pushover, so him helping out is definitely going to be a plus to their battle strength. And let's look at the teams right now, okay, that's going to be helping out Kaneki. So you have Kaneki, you have Sato, you have Kuro, and then you have Ayato. So if you look at all four of these ghouls here, they're pretty damn fucking powerful. I would have to say Ayato is probably the weakest out of amongst them because, I mean, Kuro's shown to have very psychotic tendencies, but she's definitely strong. I mean, what we've seen from her, she's very strong. Sato, I don't even, that man has done some crazy shit already. Kaneki, he killed the death, he fought fucking hard. Like, do I need to fucking explain? So, I mean, the only one out of all four of these, I would say, would be Ayato. That's kind of the weakest. But even then, he's not really that weak. He isn't. I mean, he's a pretty damn strong ghoul as well. So when you look at the battle strength of all four of these ghouls, they're going to be a nightmare to deal with. Like, that's going to be... That will be a nightmare to try to handle all these ghouls at once. I mean, especially Kaneki, now he's the one-eyed king and all that, and, you know, defeating Arima, and then now Sato joining in, and all this, just like, yeah. This group right here, extremely powerful, and it's, you know, 3 one-eyed ghouls with Ayato. Pretty cool if you ask me. I mean, think about it. You got one-eyed, you know, Takisawa, one-eyed Kuro, and now you have one-eyed ghoul, you know, one-eyed king, Kaneki. It's like his one-eyed group. And Ayato, I feel like it makes sense he's going with Kaneki, because Kaneki and Ayato were like they're like the first people to really have a good match. Like Kaneki's first real battle was Ayato. I mean, you could say Jason, yes, but Ayato was the first step for Kaneki when it came to fighting, and they had a really, really brutal match with each other. Kaneki broke almost every bone in this man's body, 103 bones, and Ayato, and him had a huge dispute, and so these two working together now will show probably growth between these two, how they've accepted each other, and maybe we'll see these two trying to bond as better friends. We'll see where it goes and where Ishida will take us with these two characters. And also, talking about, Takisawa real quick, this man mentions many names. He mentioned Sato, Takisawa, Al, whatever, Pineapple most likely, and when he says, like, I don't care what you call me, Kaneki, he respects this man. You can see the way Kaneki looks at him, the way he says his name, you can show respect. He calls him Takisawa. And that's a sign of respect, because you gotta remember, out of all the people throughout the series, the one person that's experienced many names is probably Kaneki. He's been through so much. He's been called so many things. And with, with Takizawa saying you could call me whatever, Kaneki says, you know what? No, I'm not calling you by Al. I'm not calling you by Sato. I'm not calling you by Pineapple. I'm calling you by who you originally were, Takizawa. You call me guys by King Kaneki, I'll call you by Takizawa. So, with that being said, Takizawa getting respected by Kaneki. He's like, I will honor and respect your original name. So, next thing is, the Devil's Ape, he's gonna be staying at the, the place. He's gonna be watching over the organization's, home front, like their, main headquarters. Toka and Yomo, they're gonna be also supporting as well. They're gonna be about communications. And when Toka says again, you see something else going on there. There's something else building up. And she's like, can we talk after you get back? Like, can we talk, Kaneki? I have something important to say. And he's like, sure. And then Nishiki's like, oh, gonna propose or something? Toka's like, shut it, Four Eyes. And Kaneki thinks in his mind, again. And he just remembers Toka punching him and all that. And he's like, no, I don't want that to happen again. I don't want to get punched again by Toka. So this man's straight up freaking out thinking Toka's gonna hit this man again. So, damn, Toka, what the fuck? You scarred this man. So yeah, with all that being said, we pretty much have discussed everything in the chapter. I mean, we have this little dialogue with how, Takeomi's father says you need to find a good woman, someone that's pure of heart and all that, that you could truly love and cherish. And that's pretty much the main beef of the chapter. So, yeah, it was a good chapter. It was a very good chapter. The chapter took place on February 9th. I think that's Valentine's Day. I think that is. I think that is Valentine's Day or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, it was a good chapter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.